everybody, it's Dr. Tracy Papa. Today we're going to meet Melissa. Her son Aiden has a condition called gastroschisis. This is going to be a two-part episode because there's lots of wonderful content. You're going to be so inspired by her story about how, with the help of her family and a team of medical people who cared about her and Aiden, how she got through this and is stronger than ever today. Before you meet Melissa, let me tell you a little bit about what her son Aiden had. This is a condition called gastroschisis. And what I tell people is that embryos, fetuses, go through a series of folds and turns, and the back zips up over the spine and the front zips up over all the abdominal organs. But sometimes, the zipper gets stuck or something doesn't quite happen. So if that happens in the front of the baby, then right next to the umbilical cord is a little opening, and since there's more pressure inside the baby than outside, then the intestines start to spill through that little opening, and you can get large and small bowel just sort of floating in the amniotic fluid. In the majority of cases, this is a pretty straightforward problem to fix after delivery. The surgeons make that opening a little bit bigger, the abdominal contents slide right back in. Done. Aiden's story is longer and more complicated than that and represents the other end of the spectrum of gastroschisis, things that can happen that are unexpected and how we deal with them. Enjoy the story. You're going to be amazed and inspired, and you're going to love Melissa and Aiden as much as I do.
I found out 6 days after my high school graduation I was pregnant. It was a very big surprise. But I was never scared. I think I was more overwhelmed, not really scared. We told our family, which surprisingly took it great. Even though we were fresh out of high school, it was a very welcoming thing from everyone. We had our initial sonogram just to determine how far along I was. Everything was great. And then we had our follow-up at 13 weeks, and that's when we found out he had gastroschisis. I was actually at that appointment alone because Aiden's dad had to work that morning. So I went to get my sonogram, and I could tell, at first the sonographer was very excited. She had a big smile on her face, and she said, "Oh, do you want to know what you're having?" I said, "Well, yeah, of course I do." And she told me it was a boy, and I was over the moon excited. I didn't care what he was. I didn't care if it was a boy or girl. I was just excited. I could tell that her face kind of turned. But I just figured she was just going through the motions of, she's used to doing sonograms, and she's just going through emotions. It's another day for her, kind of. And then I remember sitting on the exam table waiting for Dr. Kutzler to come in. And she came in, sat down, and I was so excited. I was telling her, I was like, "Oh, it's a boy," so excited. And, she kind of shook her head. And then, being a nurse, I understand what physician she was telling me the news that my child was going to be born with a birth defect. She said, "It's not confirmed, but this is what we saw on the sonogram today. So we're going to refer you to a specialist." That was very overwhelming. I was 19 and alone in an exam room being told that my child was going to be born with a birth defect. And the next day is when I met you. I just remember walking into the office and it just feeling at home, not at home because it obviously was a doctor's office, but it was very inviting. The staff there was very welcoming. They were very comforting. So I met the sonographer. She performed the sonography, and then Tracy, you walked in, and you confirmed what we were worried about, that he had gastroschisis. It's been so long, and I think part of it I just blocked out because I don't really want to remember that, I don't think. I do remember how calming you were and how comforting you were, and just you telling me that, no matter what, it's going to be okay. At around 20 or 24 weeks, I think I started seeing you twice a week. And then we had noticed that his bowel was starting to dilate, which is a concern with gastroschisis, because it means it's probably losing blood flow. Things aren't going good. You don't want it to dilate. And I remember at 28 weeks, it was a Thursday that we went, my sister was with me. The sonographer said, "I don't see any intestines exposed." And me and my sisters looked at each other, we're like, it doesn't happen. Gastroschisis doesn't cure itself. It doesn't just magically go back in. And Then you came in and you said, there's no intestines exposed. And at first we were almost relieved, like, oh my gosh, it's cured. You know, no surgeries, nothing. He's gonna be born perfect. And he was born perfect, but he was gonna be born completely healthy. And we realized that wasn't the case. So how it was explained to me, his abdomen completely closed over. With gastroschisis, all the intestines are exposed, or a portion of them, and it can involve their reproductive organs, their liver, their stomach, everything can be out. And then Aiden, he was born, his belly was completely closed. He looked perfectly healthy. There was no sign of defect. But thankfully, thanks to you, we knew that wasn't the case. The day he was born was complete chaos. It was actually snowing that morning, and we had to be at Baylor Hospital at 5 a.m. So I did not sleep at all. I think I was nervous and excited, scared, every emotion possible I was experiencing. So I literally did not sleep that night. I remember waking up, I was like, I'm gonna at least do my hair and makeup, at least look decent for pictures. The delivery went really, it went perfect. He had no variables in his heart rate. I tolerated labor perfectly. He had an ABGAR score of 9, which is just about perfect. He came out screaming. I remember I got to hold him, and I remember thinking, this is it. This could be the last time I could ever hold him while he's breathing. I got to hold him for about 2 minutes like I said, he was born perfect though. His abdomen was completely closed. He looked perfectly healthy, but thankfully we knew prior to ultrasound he wasn't. So they took him to the NICU. I was still in the delivery room, and the next thing I knew, Cooks was bringing him by. He had an NG tube in. He was swaddled in a blanket. He had already had his IVs in. I got to tell him goodbye, and they took him.